Hey, this is Andy Gallagher. I'm the guitarist and vocalist for Overhaul. You're listening to Channa 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 podcast.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of my podcast. We have very special guest today joining all the way from Scotland. We got Andy Gallagher of Overhaul. Hi Andy.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you this morning?
I'm very good. I should say Kumusta.
Right,
Hello.
right. Kumasta, yes. And I should answer you Mabuti, which means I'm good.
Excellent. Yeah, everything's great over here. You guys good over there?
Yeah, the usual. We are in and out of lockdowns, level goes up and down, and some days we can go out, some days we cannot. So that's
It's the way
life.
of the
That's
world,
the
isn't it?
that's the
Way of the
normal
world.
already.
Yeah, good.
so
That's
so Andy, tell me like which city you're from in Scotland, and how is the situation over there?
um I well, I would say Overhaul is from Glasgow. But I live on a little island called the Isle of Cumbria. It's a kind of town called Millport.
Right.
It's about 40 miles from Glasgow. But originally I'm from Los Angeles in America. So, but yeah, everything is it's a COVID situation here is the same as it is probably everywhere in this world right now. It's got its good points. It's got its really bad points. It's got
Right.
its can't be bothered with this. Kind of get it away, and yeah, it's no different. Hopefully it'll all settle down soon. So
Right. Andy, when I see your last name, uh, I know a lot of musicians with that last name. Like there's a lot of famous musicians with your last name.
yeah, well, there's a few.
Right, right.
Yeah,
The Oasis brothers, and then also there's an artist called Gallagher also, right? Just Gallagher.
yeah, that's the guy that smashes watermelons. Yeah,
Right.
you can't forget Rory Gallagher as well. He's an amazing guitarist.
Yeah, the one from Ireland, right?
Indeed, yeah.
Right. Yeah, because I remember the story that somebody asked Jimi Hendrix, how is it feel to be a rock star? And then his answer was go and ask Roy Gallagher.
There you go.
Right. I actually I couldn't go to UK, but I went to Ireland a few years ago, and I really loved it. How is the weather compared to Ireland and Scotland? Is it the same or is it?
It's the same. It really is the same. Uh, just a different accent. That's really
Right.
all it is. You know, but
Yeah, I was so confused with the because you guys have sun until like 10 p.m. in the evening. You still have sun in the sky, right?
yeah, it's a lot of people actually say that. And it's something that you kind of grow up with here, and you don't really kind of pay any attention to, until somebody actually says it. It's still light at this time of the night. And it's like, yeah, that's called summer. you know.
Right, right. So, Andy, before we talk about Overhaul, I would like to ask you a little bit about your childhood and like what was your earliest memory of music?
Um, well, I grew up in Los Angeles, and I grew up in my grandparents' house, and all my aunts and uncles were there had a great love of music. So, I was listening from a very early age. I was listening to stuff from like the Monkees, the Beatles, Rolling Stones, Santana, the Police, Aerosmith, Cheap Trick, Neil Young. That all that music was there. So I was very fortunate where I grew up in a household filled with music, and it sort of seeps into you, so and it always stays there. There's still certain songs I listen to, and it immediately takes me back to Grande Vista Avenue in Los Angeles, and thinking of my grandma and my uncles and all that, listening to great music.
Right, right. So, how did you get into music? was it like a family thing, or you studied it? How did you get interest of music?
Well, it's always been there. Like I said, with the music, listening to music. Um, I always, how I got into playing guitar was hearing Aerosmith's "Love in an Elevator." That
Right.
opening riff, that always that blew me away as a kid, and I thought I always wanted to learn how to play that. I still want to learn how to play that on the guitar, but Joe Perry has always been my kind of guy. He's a great guitarist. He's just he's like a bolt of lightning. He just comes out with these fantastic riffs when you're going, how'd you come up with that? I wish I had that talent. Yeah. So that's what got me into guitar was loving an elevator, and I've never looked back.
Right. So you said you grew up in LA. Were you exposed to, like, were you there when, like, all this, there was a huge glam rock and, hard rock scene in LA, right? Were you there back at that time, or?
It was happening when I was there. I was way too young to be a part of that.
Right.
Yeah, the '80s kind of Sunset Strip scene was there. I was too young to be remotely a part of it.
Right.
Even the kind of Topanga Canyon scene. That was there and happening, but again, too young to even know about it, but I know about it now and I love it. Yeah.
Right. Right. So, uh, before we go to Overhaul, can you tell me a little bit about your journey, like before you formed Overhaul, like what other bands you played, and what was the journey like?
Yeah, I didn't play in very many bands before Overhaul. There was like friends that would get together and jam, kind of school. That was really it. We never got into kind of playing gigs or serious gigs. We did like school concerts and stuff like that, and nothing serious. Then I formed Overhaul, and I never really looked back. I've been in one or two other bands after that, but yeah, Overhaul is my main thing.
Right. So Overhaul will be 25 years, right, next year?
I know, 25 years. It's scary, isn't it?
Right. So 1997, right? So 1997 means that this was, you guys formed this band. There was a lot of British bands during that time, right? There were a lot
Yeah,
of big bands.
yeah. There was like you had Oasis going full tilt. You had like Ocean Color Scene and all these
Right.
bands. The Britpop thing was
Britpop,
happening.
yeah.
Yeah, and then unfortunately, Overhaul didn't fit the Britpop um, kind of mold. We were out and out grunge rock,
Right.
and it would be funny because we would do shows, and there would be all these kind of Britpop hipster dudes, walking around with the Liam Gallagher kind of jackets and the kind of
Right.
you know high collared shirts and all that, and they see us and they go, "What the hell is that?" And then they'd walk away. So it was it was character building, and I guess if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't be here 25 years later. So there you go.
Right, right. Because that time there was Oasis, and then there was Blur, and then they had this rival,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. Ah,
So, so,
90s.
uh, what really got you, like, the idea? Like, what really inspired you to really start the band Overhaul?
Um, I really wanted to be in a band. I was listening to bands like Nirvana, Soul Asylum, Sugar, Husker Du, all these bands, and I thought, you know, I can do that. That's something I want to do. And my wife, she actually got me I was going through a bad spell at this point, and she got me to actually start writing songs and kind of writing what I feel. So, you know, when I started grouping these things together, you know, it was logical. The next step, I've got to have a band, you know, and I suppose you can thank my wife, Pauline, for Overhaul, because that's, you know, she kind of helped me get songwriting, and yeah, it progressed from there.
Right. So, was there any thought of, you know, it's a very hard thing to name a band. So, was there any thought behind Overhaul?
Do you know what? I didn't even come up with it. My wife did. She, we were in the car one night, and we were kind of driving back, and we're like, right, I need a band name. So we're going through all these kind of different things, and you know, I'm going through all these different kind of band. What about this? What about that? What about? And the first suggestion she comes up with was, what about Overhaul? I'm kind of, that's perfect. There you go, and that's how it stayed from it ever since.
Right. Um, Andy, I was just watching this live stream earlier. It was a like country live stream. I do you know the artist Brandy Carlisle?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she had. I was so surprised to see that she had Soundgarden as a guest for 2 songs, and then
Yeah.
she sang the, you know, the Black Hole Sun, and it was a pretty good cover, and they had actual Soundgarden to play that. It was so amazing to see that, and I was surprised that with that cover.
Wow. I've got to check that out. Yeah. In fact, didn't Sheryl Crow play that as well?
Yeah, Sheryl Crow, and there was another Amit. I don't know. I can't remember the other one. Yeah, Sheryl Crow, and then they did like a duet of Sheryl Crow songs, and they did actually a Rocket Man cover between Sheryl Crow and Brandy Carlisle, which was also pretty good. Uh, it's so amazing that all these genres and they're like coming together, and it was really a great experience.
It's wonderful when a song can kind of go between genres like that. You know, it's really wonderful. You know.
Yeah, actually, remember I right that back in the day, the Chris Cornell was actually famous for making like taking a pop song and making it grunge, or like, you know, making it rock. Or he was really doing that, right? He did like a Billie Jean one. I remember
Right.
back in the day, right?
That's right.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome.
So, Andy, did you hear this news about the Nirvana Nevermind cover thing in the news?
Are you talking about the kind of Nevermind cover? Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that it is nuts. Well, yeah, they took the nuts out of it, but it is it is yeah. I'm in disbelief with it. You know, it's I'm speechless with it, to be honest. You know, it's kind of like one of these things. It's iconic. You know,
Right.
how many millions of people have had that on their T-shirts over the last 30 years? You know,
Right.
and to come out with something like that, it's sort of sticking in my throat a little bit. You know, but it's crazy,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Right. And that guy actually, like, I mean, he recreated that scene like every couple of years he will recreate it. And then I think he also have a Nevermind tattoo on his body. He
Yeah.
actually took
Yeah, I saw a photo yesterday that you know, do you know the Eddie Van Halen angel? You know the Van
right,
Halen.
right.
I saw that, and it was kind of like Eddie Van Halen is suing the Nirvana baby for being a pussy. You know,
Yeah.
you know, that is perfect. That is absolutely perfect. You know, that was a great photo. And just whoever came up with that is a genius. You know.
I saw this one more meme that so it said in the top that the guy like suing Nirvana, and then on below it said Scorpions left the room, something like that, because Scorpions has so many kind of album covers, right?
I know, but when you go down rock history, I mean, Jimi Hendrix's Electric Ladyland. I mean, look at that. I mean, that's a controversial. Or the British one, that's a controversial album cover. You know, are they going to go if they start with this? How far are they going to go back? You know, it just uh, it, it's a good publicity stunt for them. Put it that way. You know.
Yeah, definitely. I think never mind albums. I think a lot of albums got sold this week. This week, I think.
Yeah.
Andy, tell me the lineup of Overhaul. Who is in the lineup?
Well, it's myself on guitar and vocals. Kenny Johnson, he's on bass guitar and backing vocals, and John Malone is on drums and backing vocals. So we're three piece. Yet we sound like a four piece.
Right. So I read on your profiles that some of them were like a lot of tour. They were doing tour. They were playing as tour sessionists for other artists, something like that. What's their
Uh,
background? The others.
Kenny's always been in the band. John is he's the new guy, even though he's been in the band for about 7 years. So yeah, he's the new guy. They've never really kind of played in any other bands before, just Overhaul. I myself, I kind of played for Gordon Gano and the Ryans. Gordon Gano is he's the kind of main man, front man for Violent Femmes. And he did a UK tour over here, and I was the bass player for that tour. So that was an amazing, and in fact, that was 10 years ago yesterday that we actually started that tour, because one of the Ryan brothers posted up, can you believe it was 10 years ago today?
Right.
And I was playing at the Greenbelt Festival down in Cheltenham. So yeah, that's who plays in the band, and that's kind of the other bands I played for. So yeah.
Right. So you released the first album you released, Overhaul, which is like a self-titled album, and then I know that you actually revisited that and then you re-released that album. So
Yeah.
What's why decided to revisit that, and then the other question I have is why you guys, like, between this 2021 and 1997, so what happened with the other albums, why you didn't focus on much on recording other stuff?
Right. Really, our debut album, we went in and recorded it, and it didn't sound like we wanted it to sound. It basically it didn't suck, but it didn't live up to the songs were strong. It just didn't come off the way we wanted it to sound. So we ended up shelving it, and that alone would probably break up a lot of bands. But we had already started work on the next album, so we decided to focus our attention on that and sort of put that kind of bad experience behind us, thinking we'll come back to that.
Right.
And 18 years later, we're just getting round to getting back to that. So when we brought out the lighter EP, a lot of people were asking, hey, you're playing these songs, and they're not on any of the albums. So, why is that? So to kind of placate them, we decided to, and to stop this question keep coming up, we decided to go back and redo the album with John on drums. So it turned, I mean, the Overhaul Revisited turned out far, far, far better than the original. And it's the closest I think we've come to how we want Overhaul to sound, or how it is in our minds collectively, well, if we're gonna put our heads together.
So it's literally an overhaul of the album, right? Like, it's so what sort of differences do you see between the original recording and the new one?
There's not many differences other than one song was taken out, and I think there was a solo taken out of a second guitar solo taken out of one of the songs. We tried to make it as close to the original as possible. It was kind of a somewhat daunting process, because we thought, we're kind of we're older now. These songs were written with a lot of energy involved, a lot of anger involved, and we've matured, we've mellowed out, we've kind of relaxed a little bit, and we genuinely were wondering, do we still have that in us? And when we got into that kind of recording situation, and we strapped on those guitars and pounded those drums, it was still there, and it's one of these life lessons where, yes, you will get older, but that those feelings are still there, only you dealt with them, so you know how to kind of communicate and say what you need to say through the song.
Right. So I mean, when you guys were starting, like you're influenced by grunge and the attitude of grunge and anger and
Yeah.
but now it's I mean, of course, it's that type of feeling still probably there, right? Because something else probably replaced the original
Never,
frustration, right?
never leaves you. So
Yeah. So I noticed one of the songs that I've been listening from that album is "Kill Ourselves Working." You remember
oh,
that song?
that's actually from our lighter EP.
That is from Lighter EP. Yeah.
Yeah, Kill Ourselves Working Hard is, yeah, that's a fun song to play live, and it's fun to even hear it. It's not very many of my songs that I can listen back to and sit back and think, I'm really proud of that song. But Kill Ourselves Working Hard it's one of these songs. It's sort of like, you're a human being. You shouldn't be working. You shouldn't have. You should get that kind of work to life ratio right. And what you find a lot of the time is that work becomes press. It's very, very kind of overpowering, and
Right.
a lot of companies know that, and they kind of exploit you in that type of way, to the point where you're just a number. And I kind of kick like a mule when it comes to stuff like that, because everybody's they're special, and you aren't just a number. You're a precious human being, and if it wasn't for you, this company wouldn't be in existence.
Right.
So that's what that song's about. And it's a lot of people are very underpaid as well. I find good, honest working people are underpaid, and a lot of these people have families, and it's one of these things where they have to work so hard just to have a little bit of joy, and it's just that it's the wrong way. I just see it as kind of a twisted in the wind thing. It should be a happy equilibrium, a happy kind of balance, and quite often in this world right now, it's not.
Right. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people talk about this work life balance and all that, but really few companies really do things towards that, making it a reality, right? Because as you said, like if I get sick or if I die, they will just replace you in the next second. They will replace you with somebody else, so they are not really care about you.
It's yeah, it's yeah, that kind of that twists my mind a wee bit. But
Right. Yeah, it's like you should be working, you should be working so that you can have a joyful living, not the other way around. Like you
yeah,
shouldn't be working because you're like you're not living to work, right? You're working to live.
exactly. That's basically what I'm trying to say in the song. So
Right. So Andy, how was it for you, like all these lockdowns and pandemic and everything? How did it affected your music side of things?
um well, it put a stop dead to us playing live.
Right.
Unfortunately, see, I'm a care assistant for adults with learning difficulties, so my workload just went through the roof. And my only escape through all that, aside from spending time with my wife and drinking some tequila, was kind of focusing on music.
Mm.
And that helped me through, it really did. It also meant that we were able to kind of formulate some plans that for the 25th anniversary next year, and kind of sort of build on that. And it also gave us time to kind of rebuild a website. It was downtime. Yeah, everybody was on lockdown, but it gave us the opportunity to kind of get all of our stuff collectively together and put it in order.
Right. Right. So, as a whole, like, what are your like memorable gigs and places you played and bands
Ah,
that you opened for?
I think one of the most memorable ones was opening for the Violent Femmes in Ireland. We went. I got invited to open for them on their 25th anniversary tour
Right.
back in 2006, and we went to Cork, uh, Limerick, Galway, Dublin, and we had a blast. It was a great time, and I made lasting friendships with Victor and Gordon, and the Violent Femme crew. We still talk to each other to this day, and it's still, yeah, it was a great, memorable experience. I suppose the other one is opening for Dinosaur Jr.
Right.
When we talk about the kind of grunge scene and all that, Dinosaur Jr. were my favorite out of all of them. Nirvana were there. All the Pearl Jam was there, but Dinosaur Jr. was my favorite. And to open for your heroes it's mind blowing. And the guys in Dinosaur Jr. super nice. Jay Mascis was a fantastic guy, super quiet. But see, the second I started talking about electro harmonics, big muff pedals,
Right.
he couldn't get him to shut up. He would tell me about all the different versions of these pedals, and we sat, we laughed. They even offered pizza, and he was very, very hospitable to me and my wife. And yeah, he was. I was a member. They always say, "Don't meet your heroes." No way. I'm so glad. I'm so glad I've met my heroes, because what I found is my heroes are super nice people.
Right. If I remember correctly, Dinosaur Junior was little bit earlier than Nirvana, right? Uh,
Yeah.
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 I think it was like Dinosaur Junior, Mudhoney. Those guys were like little bit earlier than Nirvana, right?
Yeah, that's right. Sonic Youth, all that. Yeah.
Right. Sonic
Well,
Youth. Yeah.
here's an interesting tale that I read last year, was that Jay Mascis, Kurt Cobain asked Jay Mascis to be their drummer.
Okay.
Could you imagine Jay Mascis as Nirvana's drummer? Wow, that would have been something else.
Yeah, and this reminds me this meme that also going around in internet, like uh, there's this thing about like the the drummer from Nirvana is the guy singing in Foo Fighters. There's some like somebody created a funny meme about it also.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually I think 2017 I went to I think the closest to grunge show that I've been to probably is just I went to Foo Fighters in 2017. They played in Bangkok.
Right.
And it was like 2.5 hour gig. I mean, their set was like 2.5 hours, and it's amazing like how Dave Grohl is, his performance and everything. It's like,
Yeah. No, they're a great
yeah.
live band.
Mm.
They're a fantastic live band. I've seen them twice now, and both times I saw them in a kind of a smaller venue. Then I saw them at a festival kind of capacity, and it was amazing to see that kind of shift. And it was within a couple of years that kind of huge tidal
Right.
wave of the Foo Fighters.
Yeah. Because they became from like earlier they were like kind of like American Pie, funny band, right? And then it became like they suddenly became a huge rock band, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So all this, the putting out the new revisited version of your album and the EP that you mentioned, the light EP. How is the response through the streaming? And I know that you're also actively promoting your music through like different promotions and stuff. How is it going with this?
Well, actually, the response to this album has been unbelievable. I don't know if people are because of COVID are craving music, but this album in particular, it just seems to have kind of been well received.
Right.
A lot of people want to know about it. A lot of people want to talk to us about it. A lot of people, I suppose, the whole story, that it was our debut album that never got released until now. I suppose that's a good kind of story in itself.
Right.
But the actual music side of things, it's sparked a lot of interest. I mean, we're getting people now saying, hey, can we have Here and There on CD? Can we have Hope Shines Through on CD? And
Right.
it was before that it was silent, but that's a good thing, and I suppose everything that comes in right now is fantastic. It's I thank everybody for the attention that they're giving us, and it means the world,
Right. So you mentioned the 25th anniversary. You have plans for 25th anniversary. So what's going to happen for the 25th anniversary of Overhaul?
Big plans, big plans. We've got 3 albums coming out next year.
Wow.
3 albums, yeah. The first album, when we go back to talking about grunge, there's the whole scene before that, which was the SST scene. You had the Dinosaur Juniors, the kind of Husker Doos, and the Minutemen. Well, the bass player for the Minutemen, Mike Watt, is doing a split album with us.
Wow.
So Mike Watt and Secondman is doing a split album with us, and that's a dream come true because Kenny and I are just huge Mike Watt fans, Minutemen fans. Everything Mike Watt does, we love. And he agreed. He's going to do 12 minutes of material for his side, and we're going to do, I think it's about 3 or 4 songs on our side. The next album after that one is an album we're doing with Trace Foster. He's producing the album, and Trace Foster is the guitar tech for AC/DC, Aerosmith, Sheryl Crow, Cheap Trick, Geezer Butler. I'm running out of fingers here, but it goes on and on and on. It's probably easier telling you who he hasn't kind of guitar tech for,
Right.
but he's producing the album for us, and already the 3 songs that we're working on with him are just out of this world. It's a slight departure from the Overhaul sound. It's more kind of classic rock type stuff. We're heading back into the Aerosmith, Cheap Trick genre. But yeah, it's that's going to be a cool album. I mean, I'm already impressed with it, and nothing's been recorded yet. But the album after that is just going to be a best of album, which is kind of covering the 25 years of Overhaul. Kind of our kind of best hits or best songs from all the albums. Yeah,
Right.
3 albums.
So are you hopeful that you can also do a tour and play gigs with these albums?
Yeah, I mean, Kenny, John, and I, we're like coiled springs right now. We're dying to get back out there, but unfortunately, with this COVID thing, it's sort of peaking and troughing, and it's just not safe to do it right now.
Right.
I don't want to put anybody's health at risk, both fans and the Overhaul crew. So it's easier just to say right now, no gigs this year. We'll see what 2022 brings.
Right. Yeah. I was so happy that I think few weeks, it was August 13, I think 13, 14, 15, that weekend, I think that they had this festival in UK, the Bloodstock Open Air Festival. It actually happened.
Yeah.
uh, and I mean, pretty amazing. Like Judas Priest played there, Creator played there, and it was a so it kind of give me hope that okay, maybe for us, maybe it will be 2022. Maybe we can have some gigs here as well.
Yeah. I'm hoping, you know, it's if we just all got to play our part, and if we all play our part, then things will move on smoothly. You know,
Right.
that's all we can hope.
So looking back, when you started the band, did you ever felt that this will go for 25 years?
I honestly didn't know. I didn't know what was going to happen. All I knew was, you know, I was going to continue writing no matter what, you know. But I'm glad Overhaul's 25 years on, because we're when Kenny, John, and I get together, there's an energy. There's a kind of uh, uh, I don't know how to say it. It's like there's a certain fun thing that happens that it's electrifying, you know. And
Right.
when the three of us get together and rattle out those first chords, it's like it's game time, you know. It's like, yeah, you know, this is it. This is what we're here for, you know. So yeah, I can't imagine being in another band, you know. It's not the same, you know. I've played with kind of famous people. I've played with not so famous people. The three of us getting together is something special. You know, it's God given. It's yeah, it's just one of these things. You know, it is special, and yeah, long may it continue for another 25 years at least. After that, we'll see.
Right. So Andy, what's your message to the viewers of this video and who's going to listen to this podcast? What's your message to them?
I'll say hello. How you doing? Uh, Peace. Yeah, I hope you enjoy the new album. I hope you enjoy our old albums. I hope to meet you all soon. I'd love to get over to the Philippines and play many shows over there with Overhaul. Maybe you guys can come over here. I don't know. see how the world goes. You know. But yeah.
Right. Anybody you want to shout out to, Andy?
There is a ton of people. I always love to say, give a shout out to my wife Pauline. You know, she's been through thick and thin with me and encouraged me all the way. Kenny and John, love you guys to death. You guys are fantastic. Overhaul wouldn't be the same without you. Trace Foster, Mike Watt, Dinosaur Jr, Violent Femmes, everybody that's in grunge, rock, alternative rock, Monsignor McGee, the whole lot, you know, just this kind of love everybody. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, Andy, I really enjoyed this conversation, and glad that we talked. And I really want to go and listen to your other songs, and I really love, because I'm also sort of from the same era, right? Like with what you guys listen to, and it's really nice to get connected, and I'm looking forward to your plans and the three new albums that you're going to release. And hopefully, when you have new albums, we can talk again in the future. Of course, we'll help you to promote those music albums as well. So, lastly, tell everyone how they can get connected with Overhaul and where they can listen to your music.
Well, I think the best thing everybody can do is go to our website, which is overhaulmusic.com. From there, you can go to all our social media and YouTube and whatever else is out there, so, you know, streaming platforms and all that. So yeah, overhaulmusic.com.
Right. So, Andy, thanks for joining, and have a great day ahead.
You too, man. You too.
Thank you.
Okay.